Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at these charts. So we can't rule out the fact that we're still beneath the death cross on this 4 hourly. We can't rule it out, and that's obviously a major resistance. If we were to come up to test it again, you'd expect a rejection from it again, just like we did the other day. So we've got another rejection from exactly where you would expect to see it. But the good thing is you've got support on a 10 exponential. We've been riding that ever since. So without any bearish divergence on this 4 hourly too, not even on the money flow index either. In fact, momentum seems good. So as far as I'm concerned, we're certainly going to be coming up to test it again, which gives us a resistance around 62,500. And if that breaks, and again, resistances expect rejection at resistance, but if it does break, and there's evidence to say that it would, because we're bouncing from the 10 exponential, like I said, that being a resistance, giving you a kind of a you could call it an ascending triangle, really, and that's the formation that it is going in, really. Resistance, more or less level, support, moving up in a diagonal fashion. That is a ascending triangle formation, just in the use of moving averages. So they're more likely to break out than break down. It's just more likely, you see. And given where I'd imagine the apex to be, it's going to be around the 10th tonight, in fact. So yeah, we should be breaking out of this formation today. So at that point, you've got to think, well, where's the next level of resistance going to be? If we break out of that formation, where are we going to go? Because effectively, this is the V-shaped recovery that we were talking about since the breakdown. So, I think when did I say that? Tuesday? So probably going to see a V-shaped recovery on this one, and it looks like that's what we're getting. So if we go over to the daily, which is the next major area for spotting any kind of resistance, it's going to be this 20 daily moving average. The center of this Bollinger Band, which is 63,250. So really only $750 further to go before the next major resistance on this daily. And once that's broken, I would at that point expect, higher. That is basically what this says. Now, couple of days need to go by to get some kind of positive cross forming on this histogram down here on the MACD, on the moving averages down there. As far as the money flow index is concerned, you can see that's a big bold breakout. It's also a big bold breakout on the RSI as well. So as far as momentum is concerned, it's still, despite being below the 20 moving average, momentum still suggests further upside and probably a V-shaped recovery. Taking you up to 68,000, I would say, on this one. And at that point, you really have to think, well, can we go higher than that? Resistances, expect rejection, resistances. So again, we're looking to see a move into 62,500 today, maybe even above that a little bit, 63,200. And then once that's broken, 68,000 is the next on the card. So we are looking for big, bold moves here. Continuation of this bounce into what I would say is going to be a V-shaped recovery for Bitcoin. Same thing really is going on for Ethereum. The weekly is the best way to look at it. The weekly, again, that's your 200 exponential moving average. Loving that. That suggests V-shaped recovery is more likely than not, especially if the rest of the market remains strong. The 4 hourly is a hell of a lot weaker, obviously, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a powerful move once you've reclaimed this 50 exponential, which is 2,677. That should at that point take you up to the full death cross retest towards and above 3,000, and obviously expect a rejection there. So thinking about that with Ethereum being the higher turn timeframes being quite attractive, it's not too much of a surprise at this point now to see that the dominance chart continues to rise into this box of resistance. The whole area is a box of resistance, right? Where an alt season is not unlikely. Like I say, I think that there is a good chance that we're already in the beginnings of an alt season already. We just haven't seen the outperformance of Bitcoin across the board. Bitcoin still being dominant, remaining strong, continuing to move up. But if we're going to get alt seasons, it'll either happen from this area, or if we're lucky, we'll move up even further to 62% dominance and then a rejection. To think of a large rejection deeper than this 200 exponential down here, 52% dominant, maybe down here, which would be a bit more likely, just around 49% dominance, where we had this area of resistance. That is probably where the floor would be, given the sentiment and the fundamentals that surround Bitcoin with the ETFs and just the overall vibe that Bitcoin is the only one and altcoins are not so good. So any alt season that you get, always respect the support when you come down to it. This is what we did on this major alt season. We didn't we went massively into altcoins around here, but every time we hit a major support, moved back into Bitcoin as a safety trade. Okay, that's fine. Back into altcoins. Bitcoin as a safety trade. Okay, broken down. Back into altcoins. Okay, Bitcoin as a safety trade. That's fine. Okay, back into altcoins. Okay, Bitcoin as a safety trade. Now we got the dominance moving. Okay, so it can be traded. It was traded well before, but you don't want to get too complacent. Obviously, with altcoins, I think most people would agree that you don't want to get complacent with altcoins. Most of the time, sats do get given back for the most part. There's only a few altcoins out there that sats never got given back, from entry points. Matic being one of them, I think, from the last cycle is a good example. I mean, there's always going to be some, really, but most of the time, all the sats get given back, over a long period of time. But yeah, it looks good to me, and I'll stick to what I say. Dollar cost average into these into those dips. Well, the dips have been dipped now, so really now what we're looking for is to see if we have the recovery and bring all of our entry points into profit. Remember, the long-term goal is not to be rich by the end of today. It's to sell at some point next year, most likely towards September 2025. That's where I'm seeing evidence enough for some kind of peak to present itself on the market. But until then, on the short-term timeframes, things do look good for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Based on the 4-hourly, no decreasing of momentum. V-shaped recovery is still in sight. And if anyone pays attention to traditional markets, it was a very big, bold close on traditional markets. S&P, nice big green candle on the weekly. I'm not going to try and bring that up on this laptop. It's not going to be able to handle it. We'll quit while we're ahead. But long story short, it does look like, at least for today, we're going to try to move back up again, 62,500, maybe 63,250. And then from there, probably see rejection. And next week, hopefully, if we see the continuation of momentum in the stocks and indices, as well as crypto, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see us move to 68,000 before another major rejection, and then we'll have to see, can we get supported above areas that we've reclaimed, or do we lose those too? And a big part of that is going to be looking at the S&P, which again, based on a daily, is doing a similar thing to what Ethereum's doing on the weekly, which is a golden cross retest, which suggests V-shaped recovery, which is why I said that on Tuesday. So the goalpost has not changed at all. We buy into the consolidation, we buy into these dumps. This time it does look like a decent bounce, probably recovery is taking place. So unless something catastrophic takes place in the world, which obviously could happen, creating a black swan type of environment, the markets are responding very nicely, and it looks to me like Bitcoin has actually capitulated. But we can't rule out further downside until we've built a base above these areas. At the moment, in the very short-term timeframes, resistances do exist above us, just ever so slightly, and we want to reclaim those before we jump on the bandwagon and start building positions to go immediately up, instantly gratifying trades in the form of an uptrend. Right, so I'll leave with you there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. I'm going to carry on with the rest of my holiday here. Hopefully that was useful. Let me know if it was. And yeah, take it easy.